So we're live. Agency, I am here as living proof that you can try and try again and full-heartedly, because it gets you absolutely nothing, because it will get worse before it gets worse. I'm on my meds again, and I'm trying to not regret it. Cool. Here we go. So let's talk about Ted Bundy. I want to show you guys some pictures. We're doing updates today on Hellfire Agency cases because we gotta do it somewhere. Let me pull up an image file for you. I'm going to show you this fine establishment. This right here is Woody's Bar in Moab, Utah. If you don't know Moab, Utah, believe me, you don't want to. Very pretty scenery if you get outside of town. In town, it's Moab, right? And one of its finer eateries, Woody's, was in 1973 the site of the murder of Ann Woodward, who has long been accused of Ted Bundy. Why? No one knows. It was Ted Bundy was there killing people in 1974 and 1975. 1973, not that anybody knows. Not that anybody seems to indicate. He used to go hunting with his soon-to-be, not-to-be father-in-law, his Mormon father-in-law, but that was like up in Ogden. I don't think I ever read that Ted Bundy ever even went as far south as Moab. I mean, he used to go down to Carbon County or to, why can I never remember the name of that county? Anyways, but Moab, that's out of the way. And as far as I can tell, no indication that Bundy really ever went there. But see, this is what happened. Okay. So there was this guy. Let me show you a handsome devil. Last known file. Named Douglas Chudomelka. Lots of Melkas in Utah. I'm not sure if is that a Polish name? I don't know. And basically this guy, last known photograph here in the center. Basically, this guy was playing poker at Woody's, which was owned by a family by the name of Woodward. The wife of the family, the mom of the family, is a mother of four named Ann Woodward in 1973. Apparently, she started playing poker with him, and they remained, the last two of them, sometime around 2 o'clock in the morning when it's normally closing time, playing poker. She beats him at poker, presumably, and he maybe, allegedly, raped and murdered her. So, but then his girlfriend provided an alibi for him, said no, he was home with her all night, and that later she came back to the police and filed a police report for a domestic violence dispute later, and in that call out to the house told the police that she knew that her boyfriend was the killer, that he was responsible for the death of Ann Woodward, but she later recanted. And so because he had an alibi and because his girlfriend covered for him, maybe confessed for him, maybe allegedly then said, no, well, I do remember that he was here until 4 a.m., so he couldn't have been there. I was just angry, or whatever the reason was, they couldn't recover it. So what they then did, you had this this police chief at the time, really interesting guy with an interesting story. His name was Melvin. Let me check my notes here. His name was Melvin Dalton. And basically he worked at the rock quarry or whatever you call it, Atlas rock quarry down there. And he left that job for us, went into became security. He went for a while, and he was a sheriff. He was a sheriff's deputy for a while, and then he went to work back at the smelter or whatever it was, the rock quarry, I think. Anyways, I don't know much about Atlas. He went back to working for them, and the town mayor at the time came to him and said, "Hey, I don't have anybody to be the police chief. Would you be the police chief?" And he basically told them, if you can bring the salary up to the same salary I'm making down at Atlas, yeah, I'll match it. If you can match it, sure, I'll come in town and be the police chief. Now, at that time, the chief of police, the police department in Moab, and the county sheriff's office didn't get along. There were a whole bunch of botched cases because they just couldn't work together. And so to have somebody from the sheriff's office, I guess they thought made sense, really whip the place back up into shape. He had like 2 deputies at the time, but he grew the department. I think he said they had like 1 patrol car, maybe 2. And Moab's not that big of a town. You can cover it pretty well with 2 patrol cars back in 1973. But when this murder happened, then they hired him on as the police chief and gave him a good salary, but they sent him to police academy. They sent him to actually learn how to police, which is better than you can say for old Sheriff Sheriff Mac Hawley. Those of you who follow my Ted Bundy series know about the guy who wrote this book. Basically, he ran a co-op. He ran a grocery store down in Springville, it's either Springville or Spanish Fork. I think it's Spanish Fork. And he ran that, and he got the remains of Laura Amy, who's the girl who started our little investigation into Ted Bundy. Laura Amy was found here in American Fork Canyon in 1974. And she had been there, possibly, allegedly, as long as a month, lying on the floor of American Fork Canyon. Is that possible? Great question. That we've been over that again and again. But strangely enough, they didn't preserve any of the killer's DNA, even though they had discovered, remains of the killer inside Laura Amy's body. And that all was recovered, together with hair samples, nails from her fingernails, jewelry, including at least a ring from her finger and a necklace from her neck, I believe. And then they had all this DNA from her and potentially from the killer, put it in a box. And after a lot of snooping around, my friend Chris figured out through the people who were handling the case that one of the great regrets they have is that they basically threw the evidence away. Those of you who followed my story with Kevin Sullivan know about this letter, and how there's a piece of that's now actually managed to deteriorate since I've had it. Whoops. I should have framed it. Anyway, framed it and kept it next to the other letter, next to my excommunication. There's a piece of one of Ted Bundy's trash bags because one of the detectives, Jerry Thompson, who was the detective in Salt Lake, who left the force very soon after the Bundy case, just basically walked into the evidence room, grabbed Ted Bundy's and walked off with it and used it at demonstrations. So when you look online, you see color photographs of everything that Bundy carried with him when usually in his Volkswagen, though possibly also in his pickup, probably also in his pickup. And you see the ski mask and the handcuffs and the garbage bags and so forth. He basically that whole kit was carried out of the evidence closet by Jerry Thompson one day. So 1970s, evidence is being handled pretty loosely. They got Bundy's Volkswagen, his Volkswagen Beetle, in Colorado. I believe in Colorado, and the FBI wanted samples out of it. And back in those days, in the 1970s, DNA wasn't very well trusted, and it was still burgeoning science. And you'll see why here with this case with Ann Woodward. But they took up the floor mats of this car, like pulled out like the carpet and stuff. And inside this Volkswagen Beetle, they found tons of brown hair, just hair from countless brunettes, just all over the thing. But back then, what they would do is they would take the hairs and they would take samples of the victim's hair and they would match them for things like whether they were curly or whether they were long or whether they were coarse or whether they were fine and things like that, and try to match them to an exclusion. It was not a very effective process, certainly nowhere near as effective as DNA, but at the time courts just didn't trust DNA. And so but this guy, Melvin Dalton, this guy knew what he was doing. He went to school. They taught him he went to policing school. And when he got to the scene of the crime, he collected, hey, Diamond Dave, welcome into the live. He collected her shirt. He collected her pants that she was strangled with. He collected her, her clothes, and they carefully preserved them. And I have them. Let's see here. Let me go ahead and show that to you. Image file. Boom, boom. Ann Woodward. Boom. So this was a box with her clothes, with Ann Woodward's clothes. You see her striped pants, one leg torn inside out. That's her shirt. I'm presuming under things, socks, shoes. I'm guessing look like ballet slippers, basically. And so, basically they had, and a tissue that was found near her body. Basically on the button, what happened here is that all this evidence was put into a box, sent to the FBI. FBI uses their technology, 1973 DNA tracing technology, to say that, and they took, by the way, they took hair from Chudomelka's belly button, from his chest, and they took saliva. They swabbed saliva, I believe, and then they took a cigarette that was found on the table nearby where apparently they were playing poker. And from all of this, they couldn't make a match of the DNA. So they sent all the evidence back. It was misshelved, basically wound up in a building outside of the police department there in Moab. And this guy, Melvin Dalton, said, at the end of his life, he died in 2017, I believe. 2018, he was like 93 years old or something. He was like really old. And sorry, people. And so he passed away. And I read an interview with him, and they asked him, "What do you have any regrets from your time in the police department?" He said, "My major regret was that we never solved Ann Woodward's case." He's like, they blamed it on Bundy. The impression I got from the interview, I don't think he said it this bluntly, but he's like, he basically gives the impression everybody blames it on Bundy, and it makes no sense because Bundy wasn't active in Utah in 1973 that anybody knows for sure. And we know who the guy was. We just couldn't prove it. We know it was this guy, Chudomelka. They just couldn't prove it. They couldn't bring any cases. They couldn't bring any charges against him. So basically this box got misshelved and went missing. And then what actually happened was that this new detective last year, a guy by the name of Jeremy, checking my notes again, Drexler, went digging for this thing. Went digging through all of this, old evidence, case files, all of these locations, trying to find Ann Woodward's clothes. And eventually he finds this box, and he and the team take this picture. They take all this DNA and all of this evidence collected and carefully preserved by Melvin Dalton and sent it back in to have it DNA analyzed again. And this time they found Chudomelka's DNA on the buttons of her shirt. Let me add that back in there. On the buttons of her shirt and on the inside of her right pant leg that was turned inside out, next to her body. It was next to her body when they got to the place because her husband had untied it from around her neck. And so they found, and they said, and the conclusion was, yeah, there's no way, he could maybe explain his DNA on the outer surface of her clothes, but on the inside of her pants, there's just no way. So now it's pretty much Ted Bundy's been exonerated of this woman's murder. So honestly, it's not as shocking as Nancy Baird, although Nancy Baird wasn't that shocking. Those of you who don't know Nancy Baird, she was a blonde mother, a single mom in her 20s, I believe, in Salt Lake area. So she was who was killed. while she was working at a convenience store. She was too old for one of Bundy's normal victims. I mean, he did sometimes kill older women. In your 20s doesn't seem old, but it's old for Bundy. And he didn't normally go after blondes, but he did sometimes. Sometimes he would change things up. Variety is the spice of life or whatnot. But this Nancy Baird, the children who had seen the men who went after her, they were able to piece together afterwards. There's this blog called Blamed on Bundy, or a podcast called Blamed on Bundy, where they were able to track down the transparencies that they used to show people to combine different facial features, like, oh, this is a 6 o'clock shadow, and this is the beard, and this is what this kind of beard, and this is what this, and this is what this, and this is what this. And they were able to piece back together because each of those transparencies in this kit had a number on it, a letter and a number. And they were able to take this letter and number combination from the police report that eventually got released, and get one of these build-a-kit things and reassemble what this guy looks like according to these two children who were interviewed at the time, to see what he looked like when they basically concluded that the guy was Bundy. And they came up with a composite and showed it to these people who are now adults, for the best that they can, best of their recollection, 50 years later, and say, do you remember making this composite with the police? And they looked at it, and both of them went, oh my gosh, that's the guy. And he had a twin. He had another guy with him, looked just like him. He was like just like him. And one thing that was conclusive about it, guy looked nothing like Bundy at all. So this is now two of these murders we can pretty well clear Bundy of. Doesn't mean he didn't do the rest of them. And doesn't mean the key here, though, is that just storing the evidence on the cold case probably would have allowed us by now to finally officially blame Laura Amy on Ted Bundy. As it is now, we still don't know. I still don't see how it could be anybody else. But we have to allow the possibility. It has to be possible. There are enough variants in the case. And most of the testimony of people from the area, or at least the notes collected by Chris, what's his bucket, on the case, they don't add up. And it's like, Laura was here, Laura was there, Laura was everywhere. She's a bird, she's a plane. Nobody knows, and all these stories. People said that, I heard that she was found in the canyon, but it was just her skin, and she had been stuffed with beer bottles and stuff like that, or beer cans. And it's like, that sounds very much like a Mormon community story about what happened to somebody. Oh yeah, and she was stuffed with beer cans. Okay, how Mormon can you be? Anyway, so that was at least two that Bundy can be pretty clearly defined as cleared. He never did own up to Laura Amy. Never did. People said that for years. Even the people involved in the case. Oh yeah, he confessed to Laura Amy. He did not. So I listened to the tapes. Unless somebody knows something I don't. So interesting case. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of these. And Woodward, rest in peace. We didn't get your guy. I wanted to take a moment to talk about updates on Tim Ballard. Okay, this is very much at my own risk. My comments are my personal opinions based on my research alone. Okay, effectively, because people have been asking me, it would appear that pretty much all of the cases, the civil cases against Tim Ballard, have been dropped and either been thrown out by the court or have been dropped by the litigants. Criminal cases, we just flatly don't know. There are maybe as many as four in California, possibly more. And there are at least a couple here in Utah, for which we know there are police reports. And we know that Celeste Boris is the origin of at least some of those. But so far, none of the law enforcement personnel. None of the prosecutors have taken any of the cases to charges against Tim Ballard. So, as far as we know, he's innocent. But very important to remember that the federal TVPRA lawsuit is still pending. We don't know what status that is in or when it will go. As far as I know, we don't know when that will go to court or if it will go to court. 6 women originally filed a federal suit under the Trafficking Victims Protection Reauthorization Act, claiming that Ballard coerced them into sexual encounters under the guise of anti-trafficking operations, and that case remains active as of now, as far as I know. Defamation actions by Ballard. Ballard has now countersued several of his accusers, including former Miss Utah Amy Morgan Davis, for defamation. Those defamation suits are still pending here in Utah. Interestingly enough, Operation Underground Railroad, in his absence, has underwent its own kind of continuous ongoing scandals. Donors don't feel comfortable giving them money anymore, it would seem. Imagine that. They've been through 3 CEOs since in the last 2 years, including Ballard. And and now they have moved their headquarters to Minneapolis. So it's and changed their name from Operation Underground Railroad to Our Rescue. And so now you will see ads from them still saying Our Rescue. And no one really knows. So in May 2025, the board elevated Derek Banner, formerly Our Rescue's, Chief Mission Officer, to CEO, praising his deep familiarity with the nonprofit's field operations and survivor care programs. All right. Benner is a former Homeland Security investigations man, and he was formerly an ICE agent, and he served on Our Rescue's board prior to his executive roles. So basically, people, the talk of the town here in Utah is that, if there was nothing shady going on, why do they keep going through executives? Why do they keep going through president? What do each of these CEOs know about the dirt? I was on, I think it was Ladder Daily Digest earlier this year. Once I came up with one of the tax filings from Operation Underground Railroad or Our Rescue from one of these years, and went through how they had paid it was I don't quote me directly. I think it was $1 million, $2 million, something like that, to a firm based out of Qatar or something, out of the Middle East. And it was just, frankly, or no, not Qatar. It was the Arab Emirates, I believe. Yeah, something like that. Anyways, overseas. Went to the website, looked at this website, very nondescript. It was like it's one of the consultants for operations, for international operations or something like that. It was the corniest, worst website I had ever seen. And I'm like looking at it, I'm like, geez, if you were... I'm not saying this is what's happening. I'm just saying if you were to take and launder money from donors from a nonprofit, that'd be a hell of a way to do it. Just send it to some random nondescript foreign company, and they hold on to it, use it for operations. What operations did you use it for? Normal operations, personnel type operations. Very important operations. Okay, dude. Not sus at all. But anyways, who knows? Maybe Our Rescue is now all up in the up and up. I know. I certainly hope so. I think you do too. So that's the updates on at least 2 of the cases here at Hellfire Agency. I did want to take a moment to tell you guys all about some new things going on at the Church of Korihor. Church of Korihor is pretty badass. And we have this new thing I wanted to show you. A new page. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Mm-hmm. When we decided that it's best to share sound, boom. At this point in time, we're going to try it. Okay. Guys, see my screen all right? So you can imagine if you were at the Church of Korihor. One goes to korihor.org. And it's lovely. Oh, it's beautiful. Look at this. Oh, my. And then you see that there are these quick jump buttons on the homepage, only on the homepage, to go to the podcast, to go to the donate, to go to the... Wait, what's this? Hymns. That's right, friends. You can click on hymns or tap and go to our Godless Hymnal. This is cool, man. And now we have the hymns of the Godless Church of Korihor going up. All the main hymns should be up here in the next few days. We've got, so far, we've got 7 of them, including We're Going Home. And Like Korihor. Everybody's favorite, Lick My Cupcake.
Bubble gum stuck to my shoe. Heavy petting in the neon hue. Cracked vase on the kitchen floor. I get
Unholy.
unholy. I am unholy. Full of unvirtuous ramble.
More Money Than God.
Built this hall with borrowed bills. Wrote these songs on broken windowsills. Our altar's made of old tin foil. A godless church built on digital soil.
All My Prophets Paint.
All my prophets paint scripture of joy and pain.
Non-Zero Chance, the one that I introduced just last week.
From empty pews to reasoned thought, we'll defend our pale blue dot.
Now, very cool feature on each of these. I'm not sure where the lyrics are, but each of them have their lyrics loaded on there. Maybe you have to open, maybe this is the thing. Oh yeah, that's the thing. There's a little button. There's a little button where you can open it up and you can read the actual lyrics. While
the danger's great, but the odds are small. We Korihors will heed
Still
the...
has Korihor spelled phonetically for the AI. I will fix that. No problem. No problem. No problem. So, yeah, so it's there. You can now listen to all, we will soon be able to listen to all of the music. Now, when you, should be on all of these, I'll fix that one's broken. But when you hover over the timestamp of one of the songs, you'll see that it will open up a download button. You click on that. For example, we have Like My Cupcake. And then it gives you the option. I don't know why this one says you can download it in FLAC. I'm not sure how that happened, but all of them, you should be able to download it in MP3 and download it right to your device. I am initially opening this up just to people who are friends of the Church of Korihor and contributors. Don't hold me to that. I may just make it open to the public in the future. But right now, we got to have more perks just for our people. That's another thing, by the way. If you're ever back at the main page for the Church of Korihor, click join. You'll see that there's now a $0 friend of the Church of Korihor. It's a free plan that you can sign up for because you're too cheap for our $2 contributor plan. And so basically some of our games and missions and things that we will be doing in the future, you'll be able to get access to get access to Hellfire Agency podcasts and all of our services and sacraments. You still do need to become a contributor, and come on, it's $2 a month. Don't be that cheap. Come on. And no, joining our church is a different thing than joining as a contributor. You don't have to be an atheist to be a contributor. You just have to believe in and support what we're doing. And then you get access to all of these cool things. Most of these are podcasts. Actually, all of these are podcast posts. You know, we have was this today that yesterday that I uploaded the white pickup video or interview. This is a 2-hour interview I mentioned earlier with Kevin Sullivan. This is an AI generated image, but Ted Bundy had a pickup, and there were a bunch of these types of secrets.
But he did a lot of research in Utah on the Bundy case.
So a whole bunch of stuff. This is Kevin Sullivan. He is an author who's written more about Ted Bundy than anybody I've met so far. He's a very eccentric character, but very nice guy. And at the end of our interview, he said, "I'll do it anytime, Joe. This was talking to you has been the best time I've had in dealing with this whole case." So it was good. It really went well. He is the guy who sent me that letter. So you guys can hear me, right? This is like a thing. Lisa, I'm sorry you feel like Dookie. No updates on Skyhopper, except that some people don't like it. I've had complaints from people going, "Joe, what is this thing?" And I'm like, "It's badass, awesome, but we're gonna do it still. People can complain." Anyway, then I posted our. I don't know how many of you saw this, but you can now watch on CoralHorde.org. You can also still watch it on YouTube, but I'll be pulling it down from YouTube eventually. This interview I did with two Nomos, with an Exmo and a Nevermo walk into a bar. These ladies,
we are live.
Great time. But we watched. We hate watch Ward Radio, misogyny. And it was a riot. I mean,
I'm not seeing any evidence of it. 52%.
So there you go. That's one. So you ladies, if you wish to make amends and repent right now, you can do that. Any criticism you would have.
It was a good time. Yeah. So we're posting everything on Hellfire Agency which is now also CoralHorde.org. So yeah, you can now sing at the Church of Corahor. You can watch all of our cool interviews and podcasts on the Church of Corahor. And yeah, it's an exciting time. So those are some updates on some of our cases. I just wanted to keep people beefed up on that. I really want to know what happened with Celeste Boris's leather skirt that had that they were able to prove because of disclosures in the other case. They were able to show and was printed in the newspaper that it had Timmy Boy's DNA on it. So I'm just saying he's probably innocent. Good G-man turned private entrepreneur millionaire. That's usually how that goes, I'm sure. Everything on the up and up and nothing suspicious at all, Timmy Boy. Don't sue. Don't sue, Tim. We're good. We're just all here making America great again in our own way, buddy. Okay? I'm doing it my way. You do it your way. Fuck off. Anybody who knows Tim Ballard, you can give him that Joe Rawlins direct quote. Tim Ballard, fuck off. All right. Let's see. That is all the news for today. So, hey, it's good to see you guys. Sorry I skipped out on sermon on Sunday. Poorly planned on the notifications on my part. Sorry about that. But my partner is in town from Virginia, and frankly, I was indisposed in just about the most pleasant of ways. And it was a good little break for me. We went down and got a room down at the Marriott in Provo, which, is everybody's idea of a good time. And we turned our phones off most of the time, ate good food. We only ate like once a day. We were busy. We were very busy. So it was a good time. And I had no time for sermonizing. Probably could have done with some, though. I had this pretty good sermon lined up when I remembered that, oh, shoot, that's not going to work. That's Winter's Weekend. And so, anyways, I'll be back with more. We're going to be back this Sunday with my next sermon from All My Prophets Paint and some cool announcements. Give you guys a little peek at that. Something that I'm looking at for the future of korahor.org. We've got some changes there, some small changes in personnel. I'll be making a community-only announcement about that on korahor.org, but we are shifting up some clergy positions and changing the structure of the church. Not a big concern. It's actually a very good move. So making some serious progress. One of the things that I am looking to do, I've been talking a little bit about how we're going to have a volunteer position at the Church of Korahor that is a non-clergy position to help out with our missions. You guys know about our current missions, I hope, but I want to tell you guys a little bit about a mission that I've been batting around to some people who seem to think it's a good idea. I'd love to have your guys' feedback. If you want to comment here, we can do that. That would be great. Otherwise, you can go to the Church of Korahor's website. And the anyway, sorry, I promised the wife I would check the phone when she texts me. In case it's an emergency. Okay, so we're looking, I'm not sure what we're going to call this mission yet. But you guys remember that a couple Sundays ago, I gave a sermon called America, We Have a Problem. And in there, we showed the graph of how every year since 2017's budget cuts to the food stamp program and to Meals on Wheels, America's seniors have died from malnutrition at a record-breaking pace every year from 2018 until now, and we're on schedule to do it again here in 2025. And of course, they cut food stamps again here in the recent budget, our big, beautiful budget bill that was signed on Independence Day. How is that for irony? Basically, we're going to start losing America's seniors at a faster and faster pace due to malnutrition. I can't stop it. You can't stop it on a large scale right now, so far. But I think we can slow it down, and we can at least slow it in our communities. And I think it's our responsibility. I think that we can do a lot more. And everybody that I talk to says, I've been saying, look, suppose that we were to put together a database of people in your community, seniors and BIPOC persons in your community who are in poor health and poor state of affairs in terms of being able to feed their families. And if you have an oven and the ability to bake a few lasagnas, make an extra pot of spaghetti, make some bread and take it over to them, 1 or 2 nights a week. If you have the means and you have the ability to just put a little extra scratch and put a little extra in the pot and help out some families in need in your community, is that something that you see as something you would do? And most of them said, I can't cook, but I would deliver. Or I could cook, but I'm not going to cook and deliver because that's just too much energy. But I could cook a lot. I could cook a big batch of something and send it out if somebody else will drive it. And so I've been thinking about, what if we were to organize a group of people who are in the friends and contributors categories of the Church of Korahor. So these are people at the free accounts or the $2 a month accounts, and or members of the Church of Korahor, who will volunteer and to either cook or to deliver. And then we start advertising to people in the community and saying, if you are, if you are a senior or BIPOC person, because those are the communities I think we're going to have to start with. As a matter of fact, I think we'll probably start with seniors just so that we can make sure that we are moving in a scalable way. And if once we move into we're moving in a scalable way, maybe we will accelerate it to more communities, more adversely impacted communities, and then start expanding to these people and advertising to them, saying, if you would like to be the recipient of some quality meals made with love by local atheists who care about you and want to see that your family gets a good meal every now and again, at least a couple good meals a week, please sign up. And then we will just build a database of people and find people, volunteers in that area. You don't have to be atheists. You don't have to join the Church of Korihor. We're probably going to have to still background check at least the people who cook food, just because, we never know, or at least we need to know you and know who you are, so that we can make sure that we get some good hot meals out to families and to seniors who are in need these coming months and, frankly, years. And this will become a mission of the Church of Korihor that I think could endure for years to come. And, it will be a good way for people to get involved in our work and for us to actually make a difference. A little peek into the future here. My plan is by the end of the week, so tomorrow or the next day, I'll be sending an open letter to President Donald Trump, informing him that we're launching this mission, if I decide officially that we're going through with it, and if I build the infrastructure to actually do it in that time. And then I want I'm going to alert the media. I'm going to alert the government that this Church for Atheists is going to start organizing to feed seniors because our government's turning its back on them. And if we have any say about it, we will save as many seniors from starving to death as we possibly can. And that's my plan. And yes, it's ambitious. And yes, we are way too small an organization to be taking on this mission. But guess what? No one else is doing it. The people who are responsible to do it aren't fucking doing it. So it's the Church of Korihor that's going to do it. I'm going to be looking for volunteers. And hopefully we can do it in a scalable way and it doesn't break us. And if it does, like I said, we'll start again. Hey guys, listen, this is fun. I'm going to go check in on the family, make sure that everybody's eating up there. And I'll be sending out some more news and updates as things come along. I got some more podcast episodes planned. And my plan right now is to go live again at 8:00 p.m. here in the Holy Land on Friday. And then we'll pick up from there. I love your faces, and thank you very much for being here. And remember, until next time, fight like hellfire.